Hello there, just another ramble. Um, I was gonna say, I had a couple of things I wanted to talk about. The first thing was the void. I don't know if anybody has encountered this void. I've encountered it several times throughout my lifetime, and it's a very, very interesting place to reach. People use terms like dark night of the soul to describe these experiences. They also talk about crises, whether it be midlife or existential crisis. But what do these words really mean? Like what's it all about? And I feel like I don't know, like these terms leave a negative taste in your mouth, but in actuality, I feel like they are doorways to becoming a better version of who you are. So, yeah, Dark Night of the Soul. I went the first time I went through one, it was paralyzing. Um, I had no guidance. I had no one to walk me through it. I didn't really know what was happening, so I really needed to just kind of go into a place of self care and just kind of like almost like give myself to it. Anyhow, um, yeah, after like exploring all these like because I wanted to understand it. I felt like if I could understand it, I could like feel more at ease, and that's how I came across the term Dark Night of the Soul. If you haven't heard of it, you should definitely like look it up or research it. Um, really interesting stuff. I think there's a website, mystic.org, and he covers Dark Night of the Soul and the various stages and levels that you need to pass through, in order to like emerge anew. Anyhow, so on the void, I think a lot of people are uncomfortable with the void, but the void is actually a very essential part of creation. That's where new things are brought about, if that even makes sense. Um, I think because so many people are uncomfortable with it, they have a tendency to become consumers. And that is why, if you look at the society that we live in today, it's it's a bunch of consumers, whether it be food or information or material goods or I mean, it's just endless. Like it's just like we're never satiated. It's not enough. We need to continuously chase and strive and try to keep filling ourselves with these things in order to kind of like fill this empty hole inside of us that can never really be filled. So I think I've come to the conclusion that you kind of like gotta make peace with that aspect within yourself. And then you'll find that it's not necessary to try to fill it with anything. Just allow it to be. It's as simple as that, you know? On another note, I kind of wanted to talk about pain and why I'm assuming most or all INFJs have had their fair share of pain. And I know it's not the most pleasant feeling, and I know it's not the most pleasant experience, but I firmly believe that pain is an agent for change, and in order for you to grow into something else, you need that pressure and you need that pain and that discomfort in order to propel you into something new. And I think since we've undergone so much pain on so many levels of being, that is why we are the way we are. That is why we see the things we see. That is why we are like allowed, or we are, you know, how we choose to be. It's because of all that pressure and pain that we've undergone. And I don't think many people have even touched the depth of pain that we've undergone. And so they wouldn't be able to understand or even relate to some of the stuff that we've been through. And to expect them to do so is not fair, because they just don't know. I've come to that conclusion, and I've made peace with that as well. I think a lot of people have different pain thresholds. So, like other individuals can only go through so much before they break. And other individuals, can sense that they need to face something, but they'd rather kind of like extend their fun time and just avoid it and suppress it. But INFJs, we like to get going and kind of just hammer through things as they present themselves to us. So we've never really given ourselves that time to play and rest and just enjoy. Because I think this may sound a little twisted. I think to some extent we're passionate about just like pushing through things, instead of putting it on the side or, suppressing it, or like, no, like we're like fearless, and we're like brave and relentless and passionate when it comes to like growth in general. And I think that's why, like, to some extent, I feel like, and I don't mean this in an arrogant way at all, because we felt so much pain, that is why we don't want to inflict pain on others, because we know how that feels. So in that way, we are blessed with the ability to be compassionate and understanding. We also are innovators because we're so busy like pushing through all these obstacles, and growing and becoming who we really are, that, we can see we're like the visionaries, and maybe other people haven't seen our vision yet, but we're heading towards something. I think problems arise when we aren't respecting other people and not acknowledging the fact that maybe they don't move as fast as we do. Maybe they just can't handle, the amount of pressure that we choose to impose upon ourselves in order to get to where we're going, Not everybody has that kind of, I guess, resilience or, drive. So, yeah, that's why we can see and know and understand a lot of things that most people haven't even touched on yet. And it's not good or bad, but we need to realize that we can't, I don't know, it's like a really delicate balance. You can't force your wisdom or knowledge onto people, and you can't expect them to grow as quickly as you do. So it's almost like in the middle of the two extremes, you have to find like kind of grace and peace, and acceptance and allowing of where you're at, where everyone else is at, and just kind of like let it flow, and I think I'm still learning, but I think like the people who really are ready to take the next step, they'll come to you. You won't have to like, preach or force or try or do anything. People who are ready to take the next step, they'll come to you. Um, yeah, I guess that concludes my ramble. And I hope you're having a wonderful day. If you learned something from this, that's great. If you didn't, that's great too. Also, on a side note, I forget the guy's name, but I came across this, like, maybe it's a couple minute video. Looks like this rabbi, he's talking about a lobster and how the lobsters have to, like, they undergo a lot of pressure so that they can shed, their old shell and then grow a new one. I think you'd be interested in that. I feel like that relates to an INFJ. So I'm sorry I can't give you enough information on it, but if you YouTube it or Google it, just, I guess, keywords rabbi lobster. I know that sounds so dumb, but it's cool, man. And it's just 2 to 5 minutes of your life. And this guy makes a pretty profound and valid point. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking now. Blessings to one and all. Amen.